Mr. Pandaria is dying. That's right, it's dead. Is what I would say if this was a clickbait video. But Mr. Pandaria Classic is genuinely struggling. Not in the sense that it's hemorrhaging 50,000 players a week, but it is on a constant decline because of the state of the game and the state of what it means to be playing Mr. Pandaria. Now, Mr. Pandaria was lauded as being one of the best raiding experiences ever for all of World of Warcraft history. A lot of people will say Throne of Thunder and Siege of Orgrimmar are in the top 5, not counting the fact that Siege of Orgrimmar lasted 13 months, just the raid itself. The issue then comes from the fact that whilst it is a good raiding experience, the first phase of Mr. Pandaria, in this context, Classic specifically, is a horrendous experience. Between the daily grind, which a lot of people hated, a lot of reasons that people played Classic was to get away from that daily monotonous grind, is a big forefront for the launch of the thing. Now that you've caught up and all that, there's not much dailies left to do, but the experience launched in a rather suffocating thing. On top of that, for a casual guild, a casual player, the idea of being left behind has become more and more apparent with the way raiding works. You have 3 whole raids, and despite the fact that the raids themselves might not be super complex or normal, a lot of people are genuinely struggling to do all 3 raids in their weekly allotted raid time. And I know the saying, just play with a more casual guild, just don't do everything, you can just play what you need to play. But that is not how modern gaming works. People cannot just play at their own level, they're constantly being compared to or seeing comparisons of what other people are accomplishing, what other guilds are doing versus where they're at, what they're doing. The ideal of just saying play to have fun does not work in a competitive game or a massively multiplayer online game. It works in retail because they built multiple different systems of what the end game is. From collecting and like pet battles to raiding to Mythic Plus to PvP, whilst abandoned PvP is still there, to multiple different avenues of playing in retail WoW. In Mists of Pandaria, the end game is quite literally raiding. The PvP is there, but let's be real, PvP in WoW has kind of been dead for a while. It's essentially a meme at this point. People do say they want PvP, but they really don't, right? It's just simply what it is. So over here, we have the population for Mr. Pandaria Classic, and as you guys can see, there's 163,000 or 164,000 concurrent players as of right now for raiding. Non-raiding, I estimate this number to be double if not triple, so there would be maybe 40,000 active players, maybe 450k give or take, because not everybody raids, and a lot of people here that are raiding are also raiding on alts as well, but that number could also be lower. But 164,000 people is on the low end of active players. This is just raiding numbers. But right here, you have the raid population on the top left box and the arena population on the bottom right. Fuck's sake. So up here, you have the raid population on the top left and the arena population on the top right. And as you can see at the very bottom, this over here is Classic. This is how Classic started. You guys can see how it peaks over here in Blackwing Lair. Then progressively starts getting less and less and less and less around Naxxramas. Then you have TBC, less and less and less. And then you have Wrath of the Lich King, which peaked here at Naxxramas at a whopping 630,000 or 624,000 concurrent raiders. And then of course, you know, you have your Ulduar, your ICC, you know, Ruby Sanctum and all that. And this is Cataclysm. It peaked at 320,000 people at the launch of the experience. It was very popular. It was rather huge, and now a lot of alt and all that stuff, we get that. And then we have over here the end of Cataclysm at a 62,000 people raiding, and of course raid stopped for about 2 or 3 weeks there while everyone was prepping for Mr. Pandaria. Numbers went really low. This is Mr. Pandaria. It launched to just under half of what Cataclysm's peak was, 192,000 people. It did peak here when a new raid dropped at 200,000. Again, this is when the new raid tier dropped. You have 197,000, and now it's sitting at 164,000. Mr. Pandaria in the span of 1 week went from 177,000 concurrent raiders to 148,000 concurrent raiders. The arena population was already minuscule, it only dropped about 5,000 people, but 177 down to 148. That is almost a drop of 30,000 people in a singular week. I expect this drop to continue, not as at a high level of severity, but I expect it to drop to about 140,000, 145, then 135, 130. The issue here is that Mr. Pandaria is more and more compounding of how much you have to do to stay relevant. A lot of guilds are struggling to clear the heroic raids because they've gotten harder. Harder content is the antithesis to what the classic player base wants. They do not want hard, gritty, nitty content. They want to create their own difficulty. Hence why Classic has speed running. Hence why Classic has how fast, how effectively you can do it, how it has passing culture. In retail, the difficulty is you clear your normal, you go to your heroic. Once your guild gets heroic down and you get your head of the curve, you go to mythic and your guild gets 2 bosses, 3 bosses, maybe 4. You just take a break till the next season. Mr. Pandaria, the classic player base was never designed around super difficult content, and even an original launch, the game got less and less popular the harder and harder it got. As more and more add-ons and more things were necessary to start clearing bosses, the game got less and less popular in retail. That's a matter of fact. We're doing the same thing again in Classic's timeline. And as you guys can see here, the original trilogy was doing, big numbers, then Cataclysm really fell off, and then Mr. Pandaria. And you guys can see the trends here as well. This is where Cataclysm started dropping. It went from 320,000 down to 260,000, down to 180, then 100k, and then it managed the 100k all the way down towards the end essentially. MoP is starting off half and already showing that trend. We're likely looking at 100,000 or less concurrent raiders in Mr. Pandaria, probably starting in the next 2 to 3 weeks being realistic. And then we have Classic Anniversary, and as you guys can see here, started off pretty low, Molten Core leveling to 60, peaks over here at about 104,000 raiders, which is a rather solid number. Then it goes all the way down, even here in AQ40, to about 84k, 80k. Despite AQ40 being the dreaded phase that kills the game, makes everybody stop playing, it's a terrible experience, Anniversary maintained its player base the entire time, through Nax Rammus, as we can see here, at 75,000 raiders. That's a pretty huge amount for the re-release of a re-release of a re-release of a re-release. The fact that Anniversary maintained this player base is kind of interesting and just shows the dedication the Classic Anniversary player base has, or just the Classic player base has, to playing that authentic version. And it's far from authentic. There's so many changes and so many things that make this a non-vanilla experience, but it's still a good Classic experience. So the issue isn't that Mr. Pandaria is a terrible experience. It's just not Classic. It is a far cry from what a Classic player would consider being a good Classic experience, and it's too hard for the average Classic player as well. But at the exact same time, it doesn't have the content, the context of retail. It doesn't have the amount of different things you can do. You know what a lot of retail players are doing? They're getting to play Lemix, Legion Remix. They're going to play this or that, all these other variations that they can jump to when they're bored or tired. They can go collect mounts, collect this, do that, level a new character, grind this, do Mythic Plus, do your delves. Is it the most ideal content for everybody? Absolutely not. But they also have Midnight WoW to look forward to, which is a big portion of why Retail WoW has consistently maintained a healthy player base. Because despite Shadowlands' misery, a new expansion was always around the corner. With Mr. Pandaria Classic, people are already starting to burn out on the idea, on the fact of, at the end of this, I'm either A, merging into retail, or B, I'm going to Warlords of Draenor Classic. Do I really want to do Warlords of Draenor Classic? That's where I quit in the first place anyways. So it's this weird situation where, despite Warlords having amazing raids, people said that about Mr. Pandaria Classic, I even said that. And let's be real, is an amazing raid tier going to be enough to make you want to keep playing the entire way through? Are you willing to sit there and play through Mr. Pandaria Warlords of Draenor Classic just to experience the amazing raid content? And I'm keeping it as real as I humanely can. I think most people are going to figure out the rat race and quit well before that. I think Throne of Thunder is going to have a nice solid peak, 50k to 100k people returning. We'll probably see big numbers for Mr. Pandaria, a lot of hype. And then when they realize just how difficult that raid tier actually is, when a lot of the Classic players realize they don't want to put the time or effort into finding a guild that's capable of clearing and doing every mechanic and doing every system correctly, it's going to hemorrhage players at an alarming rate. And don't even get me started on Siege of Orgrimmar and Mythic difficulty. A lot of people are not going to clear that. It was difficult back in the day, it's even more difficult now. Well, it's less difficult now, but let's be honest, the Classic player base is not as sweaty as the retail player base can be in regards to playing at that high of a level. So all in all, no, Mr. Pandaria Classic isn't dead. know all the memes and everyone saying I'm quitting, I'm done, dead game. It's not really true. But it will be in the long term because you don't have much to look forward to. And B, difficult content is not classic. C, dailies is not classic. D, if you're gonna do all that, just play retail. It's the funner version anyways. Yes, controversial. Hate me all you want. But Midnight WoW looks way funner and way more interesting than Mr. Pandaria Classic. And that's saying something, right? It's not Classic Plus, it's not TBC Anniversary. Those are all coming, those are all things you can look forward to and play. But nothing you do in Mr. Pandaria is translating backwards towards Classic Plus or TBC Anniversary. It's translating forward to sending your ass to retail WoW. So a lot of people in several guilds, several communities that I know, I've been hearing the whispers, the murmuring. Yeah, I mean, I'm playing retail now for Midnight WoW in preparation because, I mean, Throne of Thunder and Siege of Orgrimmar isn't that appetizing, isn't that appealing. And for a lot of people, a bunch of people, I'm just quitting until Classic Plus or something else happens. So that's what Mr. Pandaria is as a Classic expansion. It's in this crossroads of there is no future that's bright enough for you to keep putting energy and time into on your character, whereas you could just be doing something else in the meantime. So being honest, are you going to keep playing Mr. Pandaria Classic as it keeps declining slowly and slowly? Are you that excited for Throne of Thunder? Are you that hyped for Siege of Orgrimmar? Let me know in the comments down below. I'm genuinely curious. But hey, thank you all for watching. If you liked this video, like and subscribe. If you hated it, understandable, dislike and subscribe and be a dedicated hater. We don't half-ass hate on this channel, we full-ass it. Thank you all for watching. Ebonhard out. Peace.